All right, welcome back. This one is a bit of a different tutorial. In this one, we will be looking at how to attach props to a pedestrian model. This also works for free mode models and probably also main character models, but in this case, we're just going to do it for pedestrians. Everything that has to do with free mode models is gonna come later on, since there is some different tools to use for that specific part. In this case, you do not need to pledge on Patreon to get the streaming clothing key. This one you can do without that. In a later tutorial where we're going to go over the secondary, there is two versions of this. One where you stream clothing in for pedestrians, and one where it's its own file kind of thing. This one doesn't need the $15 pledge, so this one you can do without. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is, obviously, we're going to find the pedestrian we want to work with, the pedestrian model. So on this website, I'll make sure to leave links as per usual in the description. We have a list of all the pedestrians. So we're going to find one we want to work with. In this case, I'm just going to go for the Armagoon 01. So we're going to grab his name. Going to go into OpenIV, and we're just going to filter. Then we're going to look for this one specifically. There's going to be a few files. In this case, we're going to need the Armagoon 01_PYDD. So we're going to grab that one. We're just going to filter so we get this. So this one is the one containing the props. So in this case, we have a head prop and we have a wrist prop, so the watch. We also have the texture library. So we might as well just export both of these. So right click and export. And in this case, I'm gonna put this in my pet models. And since this is played by Tony, I'm just gonna put it in my Tony folder. Select folder. I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna right click, export, put that there. And another file we do need is the one containing all the pedestrian information. So the YMT file. We're gonna find that one, and we're gonna export it. It is not gonna be readable in this case, because the YMT file, we need a tool to do that. We need the tool called Meta Tool. So obviously I'm gonna leave a link for that one. So make sure you have that in, download it. We'll go into our custom models, go pet models, and go to Tony. We have the three files. We have the PODD and the POTD, and then the YMT. The YMT is going to come later on, but for now, we're just going to need these two. So in Max, we're going to import. We're going to go to our pet models, Tony, then we're going to import the ODD and import that one. So as we can see, there is some textures missing for the head. Doesn't really matter, since we're going to make our own. See, we have the head high and the wrist high. So we're going to go back to the Wiki Rage Wiki, and we're going to go to the mask section, and we're going to find the mask we want to work with. The hardest part about this entire thing is finding the mask file in OpenIV, because the way Rockstar splits everything up is just horrendous. So I'm gonna go into OpenIV, and I'm gonna navigate to my update. Is it I believe it's this one. We're gonna just go for one. Oh, we're not gonna go for, actually we are male. No, this one doesn't have a. So MP Biker, they should have a MP Biker _P. So whenever it's _P, it's for props. So in this case, that's probably gonna be not the one we're looking for. It's gonna be in this one. MP M free mode 01 MP biker DLC. So when you want to find something, in this case, helmets are always going to be under the head section. You can go and filter for P_head_0. That way you're going to find everything. But again, like I said, the hardest part about this entire thing is finding the prop that you're looking at. So in this case, we're just going to grab one of these. We're going to find one that looks all right. Actually, let's grab this helmet. So for this helmet, you can see the embedded textures. Just gonna right click, export, and then under Tony, I usually like to just create a new folder called head or hat, or whatever you want to call it. In this case, we're gonna call it head because that is the props, or the place we attach the prop to. So we're also gonna extract the texture for it. So if we scroll down to texture dictionary, we're gonna find the one called head, and I believe we were extracting number 6. So it's gonna be phead div 006a, and we're just gonna export that one. We might as well, just to make sure, we export these 3, so we have 3 different textures. There we go. So we can minimize this for now. Going back into 3ds Max, and we go to import. We go to head, and then we just import the ODD and import. And then we have the model imported. Right now, we can, in theory, just export this. We need to, let me just show clipping so we don't have this issue. We just need to, so we have the arm goon, so we're just going to take the one from phead 06, in this case this one. I'm just going to move it into the arm goon one. I'm going to rename this to 01. We're going to do this for all the places it says number 6, so this one as well, and we can just delete this one. So as you can see, we have the helmet in. There's going to be a bit of fitting because right now pedestrian models usually have different sized heads, so this looks all right. It's going to be like pretty far down compared to his head, as you can see with this one, but size-wise, looks all right. So we're not gonna make any changes. The easiest way is to either take his model and put it in, and then just size the head against it, or retrofit, try to match whatever head prop they already have. Then we're gonna go into our folder Tony head, go to phead 06, and then for phead, I'm gonna make this one as well. Again, this has to match, and since we already have one head prop, it's called 000, we're going to make it 001. We had 2 head props, we would call this 002, and so on and so forth. So we're going to go back to A, B, and C. So we're just going to call this one 1. I'm going to call this one 1, and we're going to call this one 1. So there we go. Now we have all 3 of them. Now we want to select our helmet. We're going to want to go to material editor. In this case, this is still called 06. We're going to go option. There we go. Bump. And then I'm going to find our location. So in pet models, Tony, head, phead 006. And then we're going to select normal. For specular, do the same thing. You see, the only thing that really changes is just this goes from a 6 to a 1. And in diffuse, we're gonna go to our 006 one, 006A, and then select that one. So usually for textures, Bump is always embedded. Specular is embedded. Diffuse is not embedded. Sometimes they have two. When they have two, that's for the one that's high quality, has all the bump and specular textures put into it. Whereas the second material is for the medium and low LOD. All right. So this looks pretty spot on. So we're just going to go to export. And we're just going to export it into a Tony folder. If anything, we can make a new folder and just call it Tony Modded. So we still have the original model file. Gonna click on continue. We go back into OpenIV. We go to our, in my case, this is my DLC packs. You can basically do this wherever. This is just so we can repack everything. So in my case, I have a pet_models. And in here, I'm gonna make a new folder called Tony. And then we're going to go back into our folder. We're going to have Tony modded. We're going to pull this one in here. We're going to go back. We're going to take our OTD, which is our textures. Right now, there's a missing texture. So if we open the YDD and we choose to show the head number 2, it's going to show like an orange. This is just because the textures are currently missing. So if we go and open this one up, we go back, go into head. And A. I'm just going to drag this in here. Going to do the same for B. Going to do the same for C. Going to click on save. And we go back and open this up. And now we can show the head. And you see it's all textured and it looks correct. So that's all good and dandy. Then we are going to go into our server file. Like I said, you don't have to pay for anything for this specific part. This is not counted as streaming clothing. So I'm going to go into my resources and I'm going to go into where I have the rest of my pedestrian files. So in this case, I have these. What I like to do is always, when I do it in my tutorial stream folder, I create a new folder called the pedestrian name. So in this case, it's going to be Armgoon. I'm going to take these two files and drag them in here. Gonna go back into our folder here, in our Tony folder. Take our YMT and just copy that one. And put that over here. Now, we're gonna, so wherever you put the meta tool, you're gonna drag the YMT onto the metatool.exe. This is gonna spit out a YMT.xml file. This file is where you defined what props and what models a pedestrian has. This also goes for free mode characters and single player characters. So now that it's an XML, we can right click it. We can click on edit. And then you're going to get all of this. This is all hash IDs, so it's pretty hard to read what's what. But when you learn about it, it makes sense. So in this case, these up here, these items, like these 5 items is basically most likely going to be head, top, bottom. They all follow this order. So if, let's say there were 12 items, from top to bottom, it would be head, beard, hair, upper, lower, hand, feet, teeth, axis, task, decal, in this case decals, or JBit. Since Tony's only able to wear 5 different things, it's most likely going to be head, upper, lower, I think it's task and JBit. But for the props, this is not where we're going to go. We're going to scroll down. Might as well just click on these to make the overview a bit easier. And we're going to find the one saying this one. So it's going to be item prop character array 4 anchor head. We also have anchor left wrist. So if we wanted to add glasses to him, you can see we have these here. So if we wanted to add glasses to him, it would be eyes. Since we don't have a prop for this yet, It won't show in game, obviously, but we can still add it. So if we take item, and then we are going to look. So head is the top one. Eye is the second one. So we're going to add this under head. Going to make it so. We're going to make it so, in this case, it only has one texture option. For every time you add a line, this means that we added another prop. So for our head, we have 3 textures. So we're going to make another line and make that 3. This means we now have 2 props attached to the head. If we only had one texture, we would say 1. If we had multiple textures, we would just match that number. So in this case, we have 3. Just going to Control S. Click on OK. Going to go back into where we have the XML. And we're just going to drag and drop the XML on top of the meta tool. Like that. And now, when we fire up the server, and I just need to make sure I remember the name of the character. Let the thing do its thing. So GMM Armgoon 01 is the name. As per usual, if you don't have a mod menu installed, I suggest you go and get one. In this case, I'm still using Lambda, which works just fine for everything I've been doing, even when it comes to pedestrian things. So we're just going to hit F1. I'm going to go to player, player skin, spawn player model by name, and going to be G_M_M. And then what was the name? It was Armgoon 01. Go. So we're just going to click left. If you don't know, you use a numlock to navigate the menu. So by left, I mean you numlock 4. You want to go to the menu, it's numlock 6. We're going to go down to modify props. And you can see, ooh, did I not? I probably forgot to rename something because I am not very smart. Yeah, we have left wrist as per usual. In this case, we would rename this to eyes. I'm not very smart, so. But we do have in hats, we have 2 now rather than 1. So, first one is the helmet he always has. Has the 4 textures as we have defined as 4. Then we've gone down to prop item number 2. We have the other helmet with the 3 textures. And if we go back to OpenIV, you can see these are the textures matching. So if you wanted to make more textures, you would just have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. The game is automatically going to know that D is going to be number 4. And then when you define that in here, obviously that would be a 4 for D. It's going to show up as the 4th option. So that is pretty much it. Like when it comes to props, this is really easy. The only thing you really have to do is try and fit the hat onto the characters. Some characters have weird shaped heads. So some of the hats need to either be scaled up or down, moved a bit forward or backwards, or you might have to move the geometry a little bit to fit the head. But in this case, the helmet looks about right. It's a bit far down, but I don't see any major issues. So that is how you attach a prop to a pedestrian. It's pretty straightforward. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I will be back with a few more in regards to pedestrian modifying. Also for how you use free mod clothing the easy way. Basically drag and drop, rename, type a command, and you're pretty much good to go. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll be back.